आहा ओम नमालि गति संगी संगी चक्री शनंदकी श्रीमन नारायणो विष्णु वासुदेवो रक्षतु. Welcome to the UD Roadcast. This is a space for journeys, stories, and the ideas that shape the way we live. Sometimes we meet people who spend years exploring the outer world, careers, success, achievement, and so on and so forth. And sometimes we meet those who explore something far more mysterious, the inner world. हमारी अंदर की दुनिया. बाहर की दुनिया तो आपको और हमें बहुत अच्छी तरह से आता है, नहीं? कैसे देखना, कैसे परखना, कैसे समझना. अपनी अंदर की दुनिया को कभी सोचा है कैसे समझा जाए? How do we understand our inner world? My guest today has spent years studying the patterns that shape human behavior, the subconscious mind, the way meaning forms in our lives, and why even successful people sometimes feel that something is still missing. Rahul George is known for his work in hypnosis, coaching, and helping several and thousands and hundreds of coaches and healers understand their value in the world. He has been influenced by the work of none other than Richard Bandler and has spent years exploring the intersection between mindset, meaning, and personal transformation. But today isn't about techniques, my friends. It's about the journey behind the work. Rahul, welcome to the UD Roadcast. Aho bhagya hamare. So good to see you, sir. Ji. Very, very. Oh, man.
Let me
You know,
just take this in.
ladies and gentlemen, while he's taking it in, let me just address you quickly. If you've been following Rahul George, I'm sure you would be very well aware about the kind of person he is, the kind of tonality of voice he uses, the choice of his beautiful vocabulary, and his own style of pausing while speaking. I'm sure all of you are aware of that. And most of you who know me, imagine I must have done some homework to bring my energy knob from 9 to maybe a 5 to match his. In other words, remember, communication is all about rapport building. So, though I know Rahul pretty well on a personal basis, however, as this is a public platform, so let's practice what I usually preach. Let me match his tone of voice. Rahul, welcome to the UD Roadcast, brother.
Wow. I must say, I really want to take this moment, acknowledge the space that we get to be in, your energy, your magic. And I know that that is one of the main reasons why we're sitting here together. As you said at the beginning, uh, I don't know what specific direction we may or may not go in, but that's what makes magic magic. So I know we will be led by something bigger, something deeper, something more mystical.
Yes, sir.
So I've just come to receive, I've come to be here and be here with you, and I'm sure to sort of take a thread from that sharing that you just did with your audience and with me. that whether it's a 5 or an 8 or a 9 or a 12, I'm sure we'll have a mix of all because, as they say, it takes one to know one. So,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And another thing, absolutely, absolutely. However, my friends, the best part is, if you know Rahul, you don't need to try. You can just be yourself. You will
mm,
find out what an amazing and what a flexible personality he is. Yeah, wonderful, yeah, Rahul. So, let's begin with the beginning.
mm,
The Rahul before hypnosis,
mm.
before coaching, before the frameworks. Want to know that,
Nice,
Rahul?
nice. That's a great start point. So if I go back probably more than 2 decades at this point,
Okay.
um, that was when I had sort of bought into the idea that okay, follow a path that will lead to something specific.
Hmm.
So I'd finished. Let's start from college, maybe second year,
Okay.
and at that time I said, okay, I really don't know what I want to do, but somehow I stumbled into this idea of advertising. And there's an interesting story that I'll just quickly get to in a moment. But
Huh.
at that point, I said, okay, TK, I will, get into advertising. So how do I do that? Right? This is second year of college. I
Hmm.
was doing at that point journalism, psychology, and English. So
Oh. Hmm.
being Bangalore based, that
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
like some
Hmm.
colleges have two specializations, some have one. In the Karnataka system, it was you
Hmm.
get to choose three subjects.
All right.
And so I knew at that point, I said, okay, let me explore this and see what comes of it. So I
Hmm.
started speaking to a lot of people, met a lot of people who were already in the business world, in the world of work,
Of course.
saying that, okay, how does this work? Like, if I want to get into advertising, what do you guys do? What do you do on your day to day? And
Hmm.
so I said, as I started to listen to what they were saying, it still wasn't clear.
Okay.
And the one thing that did become clear was that, okay, you get an MBA, which will help you, especially if you don't consider yourself to be, let's say, on the artistic side, right? Which means you're not in those days, what would be called visualizing. So you had somebody who's a
Visualizing, then you would be in
visualizer.
client servicing.
Yeah. So it's either
Hmm.
on the art side or you're on client servicing. Right?
Hmm.
So if you want to get into, since you also believe that
Hmm.
you're not artistically inclined, you're not creative in that sense,
Okay.
the other option is, and since you really do want to get into advertising, though I still didn't know why,
Hmm.
this is recommended. So I
Okay.
kind of started to get more aligned to in those days, of course, third year you would start to focus on CAT and then get through. So then it would be like the
Of course.
IIMs or
Oh
any of
man.
those
Yeah, yeah,
institutes, right? So I'm obviously talking about
yeah.
20 plus, now actually 30 plus years ago, 30 years ago. So it's about, I'm talking about the early 90s,
Correct.
right? And that's when I, went through the rigor of, I didn't join any coaching academy or whatever, but I
Okay.
just sort of did a little bit of self-study.
Okay.
That only went as far as it did. And so, long story short,
Mhm.
literally on the last day of form borrowing, uh, St. Joseph's, which is
Uh,
based in Bangalore,
uh,
St. Joseph's College had just rolled out technically, it was their second batch of the MBA. And so
okay.
I filled out the form. It was like that. Do you remember the Pepsi commercial where
Hmm.
Shah Rukh Khan just manages to slide under the shutter and gets
Shutters. Yo, just the
right? The
last
Pepsi.
moment.
Yes, Pepsi moment.
Uh.
So it was like literally, playing out in real life. So I
Hmm.
managed to just about literally like 2 minutes before closing time, I handed over my form. One thing led to another. Ended up doing my MBA for 2 years, meaning I didn't
And
fail. Uh,
specialized in MBA
Specialized in
specialized
marketing.
marketing. Okay.
And in fact, shout out to as we go, I'll also give a shout out to people who played an important role.
Uh-huh.
So I had a handful of really really amazing teachers, and one of them was somebody who's very well known in the marketing world. Somebody called Harish Bijur.
Oh,
So
okay. Okay.
excellent teacher, excellent. I mean, for me,
Wow.
if I look back at uh, who are some of these teachers that shaped me of today, which is 3 decades later, right? seeing him, you know, literally, I'm like getting goosebumps right now. It's like being able to hold that energy of a classroom. Beautiful, right? So that was one of the things that I had early experience of, somewhere unknown to me or unbeknownst to me. It was like these little seeds were, landing in what I call the magic garden, right? So this
Yes.
was one of them,
Okay.
and I really loved it. Just the way he came into class, you know, PowerPoint, and those days it was OHBs, right?
Correct.
Overhead
Correct.
projectors and slide
Of course.
acetates and stuff
Of
like that.
course.
But he just came in and he would talk about his own life experiences, and he would give us these real life, not the typical case studies, but
Hmm.
very
Hmm.
hatke in that sense. Right?
Okay.
Still remember one of them was about okay, so look at your shoe and write down the qualities of the shoe
Hmm.
and why you
Hmm.
like it
Hmm.
and so on. I'm
Hmm.
sure
Oh,
you know
yeah.
where I'm going with this, right?
Absolutely.
And then the next part, and this is where it surprised me at that point. It's like, wow, he just did this. And like what today we call facilitation,
Uh-huh.
he flipped it around saying, so those are the things that you look for in fill in the blank. I think at that point he said
Hmm.
life partner. It could be anything, right?
Correct.
Those are
Hmm.
the things that you look for in a career. Like these are
Hmm.
those
Hmm. Hmm.
psychological frames, which
Correct.
basically means that this means that, right? What
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
value in
Hmm.
one place, if I
Hmm.
zoom out,
Hmm.
essentially it is
Hmm.
about values.
Hmm.
What you value in what you do, let's say at work,
Hmm.
is what you
So you were mentioning about the ad, and I'm able to relate so much because my goodness, go on, go on. I don't want to start with my stories, man. Oh my God, such similar backgrounds, man. Unbelievable,
so
unbelievable. Basically, हम दोनों ने लाइफ में बहुत सिमिलर पापड़ बेले हैं दो. हाँ,
True,
so,
true. So
हाँ,
just to
हम्म,
sort of like reconnect the context, right?
हम्म,
So, like I said, so it was like 2 years, and that was now as I'm speaking to, I'm like reflecting back and remembering that um, one of the big things that I had learned
हम्म,
over time is I've met these people who have been either the unrequested mentor, meaning I didn't request for him to become my mentor, but looking at him, the way he spoke, the way he taught, because in college, as in 3 years before that, I didn't really have a role model in that sense, right?
ah,
So it was interesting. And for context, so when I was 10, my father passed away. So if I look at 10 to like 10 years later, so it's about, say, 10 years apart, I don't remember growing up having a role model in that conventional or the typical sense,
sense,
right?
got it,
It
got
was
it.
more like life. And of course, my mom is one of my biggest role models. But if I look at it purely from the conventional male role model, if I had to use that framing,
Mm-hmm.
uh, beyond a point, I don't think I ever sought that out. And nor did I come across anybody, at least as I'm speaking, nobody pops out in my mind. But
Mm.
what was interesting was this was one person who, as a teacher, as a facilitator, now we use all these words,
Uh,
as someone who literally knew how to hold the space and be that space and inspire others to be that way. This is,
क्या बात है.
and that's why I love this conversation, because it's kind of making me see those patterns that were always there. But it's like, as we say, always when you look back, that's when you join the dots or you connect the dots.
Mm.
So that was one very interesting point in my life.
Okay.
The course itself, it had its own, let's say, everything has its own merit. So I'll look at it with that lens now.
Okay.
Um, and so, of course, that eventually led me to, and this was, mind you, 99. So obviously the economy was what it was.
True.
Jobs were the way they
True.
were. And
True.
anyway, traditionally, advertising back in the day, it was very centralized, which means if you were not, um, let's say, if you were, for me, I was in Bangalore. So a lot of the agencies had their main offices, their head offices in Bombay
Bombay or Delhi?
or Delhi. There were
Or
a few in Delhi, but
Bombay, mostly
otherwise,
Bombay because the TVC, television commercial
exactly.
industry was in Bombay.
Exactly. So it was like a lot of the say the top 10, and you'll probably remember the A&M magazine, the
The
Advertising and
A&M,
Marketing
the
magazine.
HTAs, and the
Exactly. So the
Lintas, and all of them.
so when I say A&M, I'm talking about the
A&M,
magazine that used to do the polling of your top 50, top
A&M.
100, that sort of a thing. So a lot of, I know you're having flashbacks right
Oh man, A&M का याद दिलाया
now.
यार.
So these are very obscure, almost archaic references. But again, since we are, as you said, and I love the fact that you said it's not your typical, now, conventional podcast, and
Thank
you are
you.
just being you. So
Thanks.
I'm
Thank you
tapping
for
into that.
accepting and respecting my map, if I need to put it that way, man.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, so that was one phase, and one thing led to another, and I said, okay, somehow I managed to get into Ma Buzel, MA Buzel, which was in Bangalore. It was a big deal,
Oh, of
but again,
course.
it was timing. By the time I had joined, from as I remember my story,
Hmm.
they had gone from an agency of probably 150 people to 30 people. So,
Oh,
so
okay.
it was like, like in
Okay.
every, you'll remember this line, right? क्योंकि हर घर कुछ कहता है,
Ha ha
right?
ha ha ha
Piyush
ha.
Pandey's,
Correct.
immortal line.
Ha.
For me, it was like हर office कुछ कहता है, because I could almost like feel the ghosts of those 100 odd people that were 120 odd people that were no longer there, right?
Oh
Because it had, imagine they had like Bangalore 1, Bangalore 2, and now it was just this one unit of 30 people,
my God.
right? So, and beautiful office, it was like featured in
How the ad
architectural
agencies
magazines.
used to
And
be, yeah.
but this was one of those which was very, very unique, right? So I had the pleasure of working there, and I had actually done my summers there, my intern,
Hmm.
and so I kind of leveraged that, and I went to the people I had done my summer project with, and I said, please,
Uh,
please, please, like, can I get in? Because I really did want to get into advertising.
hmm.
For me, it was like I had this crazy idea, which even at that time I didn't really know why. That I really want to get into advertising. I didn't know why. And I had a very interesting. I forget the person's name now, but I had this very uh, life-defining interview at HTA, incidentally,
Okay.
right? So I
Hmm.
was like very clear, like working only with like the top six. Like that was in my mind. I was like, I want to work like the top six, top five, right? The five and six, you would keep shifting year on
Uh,
year.
uh,
So I said, I want to work with like the best in the business. Okay.
correct. Correct.
So I somehow managed to wrangle an interview with HTA based in
Okay.
Bangalore.
Okay.
In those days, it was HTA, right?
Uh,
It's
uh,
Hindustan Thompson, right? And then I
Hindustan
think it
Thompson's
became,
correct.
then I think it became, what does it become? Thompson's or something like that. I forget the
Thompson.
name.
Uh, no, no. The
Something.
moment I said
नहीं, कुछ तो
Thompson
था.
and Thompson, वो तो
No,
Tintin
that is Tintin.
with a P, without a P.
Yes, with and without, with and without a P.
You remember?
Of
Oh
course.
my God. Oh, Tintin and
So,
Asterix and Obelix. Oh, we'll
yes,
go
yes,
there.
yes.
We'll go there.
Ah,
We've
that's
been in advertising. Yeah, those things have, I mean,
correct.
those, I mean, Tintin and Asterix is what,
Yes.
and Walt Disney taught me English, man. It's not
There
school.
you go. Right?
Anyways, go on, go on. So, HTA,
So
them?
yeah, so basically I had
Hmm.
this very, I would definitely say like a life defining, not career defining yet, but
Okay,
life
okay.
defining moment, because
Hmm.
interesting, I'll link it back to what I do today. It'll
Hmm.
make
Hmm.
now,
No,
like
I
I said,
know. I'm not in a hurry. I'm all ears. I
I
want to hear
love
all
the
this.
way you've asked the question, because
Hmm.
I'm making connections now which I haven't thought about in forever, right?
Thank
That's why I
you.
said it's your magic, right? So I did the interview. I went for the interview. Obviously a little nervous and all of that, but I went for the interview, and I still remember this guy. He wasn't convinced, right? Okay, you may look a certain way. You're wearing your like paisley tie, white shirt,
Hmm. Hmm.
Dockers or
Hmm.
whatever, your tailored pants and whatever. So you kind of
Hmm.
look
Hmm.
the part
Hmm.
of the executive,
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
young 22 version of me,
Hmm.
clean shaven and all of that.
Hmm.
So you kind of like fit the model of what typically you would expect, a suit to be, as in in
Correct.
the Indian context, right?
Correct. Correct.
But somehow he trusted his gut and he wasn't convinced.
Okay.
So he kept asking me like, but why? Why do you want to? Why do you want to do this?
Hmm.
Right? And I was stumped. I had no answer. And nor did I believe in lying. Like it's like the lies, damn lies, and
Uh,
marketing, right? So I just made that one up. But the truth is, I didn't want to just kind of make up stuff, right?
Correct. Huh.
So I kind of allowed. Now, as I look back, I kind of allowed myself to feel that discomfort of not knowing why I want to do what I think I want to do. Mind you, put it into
Huh.
context. I
Huh.
had spent the 2 years doing a course, as in the MBA, so
Huh.
that I could be here. So,
Correct.
in many ways, the goal was being achieved in that moment, right?
Right.
Like I
Right.
would be in the number one agency at that point,
Huh.
right? But he wasn't convinced. And so he sort of like left it hanging for almost 3 weeks. And that just drove me nuts. I was like, you know what? I've got to, I've got to figure this out, you know? And so that's when I didn't take no for an answer. I was like, okay, if he's not
Hmm.
going to tell me, then I started looking at, so I had seen, I had the interview with the number one agency. I said, okay, so what is like three, four, and five?
Hmm.
So I started to talk to a lot of people. And then one thing led to another. And then, of
Hmm.
course, this agency job happened, as
Hmm.
in
Hmm. Hmm.
the Ma Buzel, MA Buzel. I went and
Wow. Hmm.
timing place. I knew the guy who incidentally was the head of HR. And we had already like struck up a rapport in my like 1 year before that, which was my summers, right?
Hmm.
Between year one and year two.
Hmm.
So anyway, long story short, I ended up joining. I did
Hmm.
that for about 3 months, and then I started to understand. Okay, I know what I don't want, right? And I still said, "Nahi yaar, we did this 2 year thing. Ek sapna tha, or 3 years technically, third year of college as well." So I
Hmm.
said, "Nahi, sapna tha. I'm not going to give up so early or so easily. If I'm anyway working whatever 14, 15 hours a day,
Hmm.
I might as well go to the Mecca of advertising, as it was known, right?
Correct.
Which
Huh.
is in those days Bombay, now of course
Hmm.
Mumbai. So I literally packed my bags, uh, went there on a recce. Again, I did some jugaad. I managed to find somebody who was very good at the whole recruitment specifically for advertising.
Huh. Huh.
Shout out to Shilpa.
I'm so sorry, sorry
Yeah,
to
yeah.
interrupt you there. When you
Uh-huh.
went to Mumbai, did you
Uh-huh.
know people there?
Initially, no.
No.
So I
So,
just
so you
had this
landed.
one.
So you landed. Hold on, hold on.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
मुंबई में ऐसे ही पहुंच के नहीं
हाँ,
यार. I
हाँ, हाँ,
started
हाँ.
and
Mm,
I applied.
mm,
Where did
mm.
you land? Did you have a place to stay?
Yes.
Where
So
did
the
you
most
go?
important thing, most
That's
important
what
thing
the
is,
review. हाँ भाई, that is
uh,
a hardship. वो
that is
बताओ
the
यार.
hardship, right? So the hardship was good
Before you reach
fortune.
the reception.
Hardship was good. Let me say it like this: the hardship was um, good relations, good connections, just good luck, because I got to stay in technically he's my uncle. So my uncle's house, who I've never met until then,
Thank you, Uncle
who was
Ji.
also a very big name in the industry at that time. But not
Oh.
that I was looking at that as sort of the entry point. As
As
you very
as
rightly
as in
said, you need a
leverage or something like that. Huh.
no, right? So,
Hmm,
but the
hmm, hmm.
important thing is you need a place to stay, even when
Correct.
you're hunting for a job, right? So for me, that was like taken care of. And now, of course, I've also stayed in very close to that place.
Hmm.
So I was staying in Bandra. And so
Yeah.
from there, I somehow managed to get on the train, and the whole story of,
Church
going left, going
going.
right, take the wrong train, all that happened. But then I finally figured out, "Chai, this is how it works, is it? Okay, so there's a fast and a slow, there's a
So,
east and a
and there's
west,
the
and
West.
right.
uh,
So, so anyway, long story short, at
oh,
that point was
goodness,
I
man.
finally
Hmm.
started to make
Yeah.
headway.
Hmm.
Uh, I started to literally like cold call these places, and again, it was like agencies in the top 10, and one by one, little by little, these job interviews started to happen. And
Okay.
then, long story short, again,
Huh.
because the danger is we can go deep into these. That's why I keep
This
saying
is
long
the
story short
UD
now,
Roadcast. What we believe is making the long story long, baby.
long, right? But I'm saying each of these because again, it was at such a powerful time
Hmm.
that each of them is its own, story world, right? But for now, all I'll say at this point is that
Hmm.
I did. managed to get a really, really good offer, which was literally like three times of what I was already earning in Bangalore.
Very good.
So I was like, okay, I anyway wanted to, to not even, I wouldn't say make it big. I
Hmm.
want to do deep work. I want to, work with the best of the best in the business. And
Hmm.
that happened.
Hmm.
My brand was rediff.com, which I'm
Hmm.
sure you remember back in the
Wow, of
day.
course. Of
This was
course.
pre-IPO. So they were spending a lot of
Ah,
money, which is perfect when you're in advertising because you get to learn,
yes.
right?
Yes.
You get to like see the films being made. You get to be on big, film sets and all of that.
You get to
So
see how to pitch for award-winning work. Hmm.
also, but that was I purposely sidestepped that side of the business. I was like, वो मेरे लिए नहीं. I have like literally come
But
to.
you know what I mean, no? All
I know
agencies
exactly
have
what you
that
mean.
group
That's
of
its own.
people who only work for awards, not
That's
for
its own
connections,
story.
not to sell.
That's its own its own sub roadcast. But
Nice.
anyway, the long
Long
of it
story
was
short.
that there were long story long. There were like many stories like this along the way. But what if I had to go towards the end of that
हाँ,
tenure of advertising?
हम्म,
When I finally started to make connections to what that guy in HTA said to me, कि आप यहाँ क्यों आना चाहते हैं? Why do you want to be here? Existential question जिसे हम आज बोलते हैं.
बोलते हैं ना.
Back in the day, it was like that started to rumble because by this point I couldn't say I don't know what is advertising. I couldn't say हमने बड़े फिल्म नहीं किए हैं. I
हम्म,
couldn't say हमने बड़े बड़े डायरेक्टर्स को देखे हैं, right?
हम्म,
और बड़े बड़े प्रोड्यूसर्स को देखे. Because by then I had
हम्म.
had, like a mix and match of experiences, right?
Okay.
I still remember being in the same room with Prahlad Kakkar, and so there were all those experiences that happened, which
हम्म,
for a lot of people it's a dream, it's a pipe dream, right? But for me, I had intended, and not because that was the hook. I wanted to be in a space where you're working with really, really, like you're really doing the work, right?
correct.
You're going deep into it.
Uh,
So all that would, so like those boxes were ticked. And I was like,
uh,
okay. I started to ask myself the question and it got louder and louder and louder. It's like, what do you want? Right? I know what I don't want. So I was like, okay, got it. After a point,
हम्म,
this was like fast forward to 2002. So I'd spent about almost 3 years by then. I
हाँ,
said, okay, I think it's becoming clearer that I
okay.
know what I don't want.
Okay.
And I would rather not put myself too much out of pocket and try and figure out what I want to do in
हम्म,
Bombay.
हम्म,
I'd rather sort of, head back home,
हाँ,
reset,
हाँ.
and, go on that quest.
So this was after 3 years in Bombay.
3 years in Bombay. So 2002 was when I came back. And between 2002 to say 2005 was more like truly that existential quest and the questions that keep you up at night and you ask yourself like why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing?
Oh,
Because I had already lived through dream one, right? And I knew that I was like, I don't see myself doing this whole thing till I'm like 35, and then either you sort of become like the whatever director or branch director or whatever,
uh,
and then you just kind of do more of that. Or
National creative director.
yeah, like you have
Pan,
the NCD
Asia
side, which is
specific creative director. Blah,
exactly. So
blah.
you have the creative side, and you also have the accounts or the agency side,
Hmm.
the business side, basically. So I couldn't see myself doing that. I said, okay, fair enough. I'm just going to be true to myself, honest with myself, and now let me start figuring out what I do want.
Hmm.
So that interestingly brought me back to my roots, which has always been psychology, counseling, the whole listening to people, holding that space, what I would, even till recently, what I would call holding space. That is something that I've always done. Right? That's kind of been, maybe you could say, my history, or, just having seen death at an early age. All these things kind of shape one's perspective on life.
Hmm. Hmm. I
Literally,
understand.
like death shapes your perspective on life.
Definitely.
And so, I said, okay, let me figure out what do I really want. And so that was like, like a good 2 years of dark night of the soul, right? And it just kept coming in waves. 2002, 3, and then 4. that was like, a good, pretty, like that period of really being in that pain cave.
The great pathfinder of today is
Exactly.
narrating when he had lost his path and he was looking around, bro. I don't see
Hmm.
any path and there is darkness
Yes.
all around me.
What do I want? That was literally the now, of course, and I link it back,
Hmm,
let's, for folks who've, reached this point, just to
hmm,
sort of, so that we know where we are, but in case people are kind of like spinning around, they're
hmm,
like, okay, where's this going? Just to
uh,
put this into context, all of what I shared till now
hmm,
is, in a way, what I find myself helping people with today. People who are seekers, people who are, of course, healers and coaches, which has happened a lot post COVID.
hmm.
People who kind of have a grip on life, or at least they've begun that journey. But a lot of times they don't have the answer to this question, which is, what do you want? So now I'm flashing back to, literally, like I said, about 20 years ago. And that was my state, not for a day, not for a week, not for a month, but literally
Mm,
over a good 2 year
mm.
period of time, where I kept staying with this question. And go ahead.
My God. My God. I mean, so somewhere in this entire journey, because first of all, I
Mm,
can resonate with you
mm,
so much because
mm,
I've spent some 22 years of my life in the corporate world, and out of which
mm,
11 were definitely in the advertising industry.
mm,
Out of the 11, 8 to 9 years were in Mumbai. I used to live in Mumbai, then I shifted to Pune.
mm,
So, yeah, so I let go. I had my own reasons of letting go
mm,
advertising and,
mm,
jump into something else. However, my story is definitely, for another occasion. So, in your journey, somewhere along the line, how did you discover
mm,
the power of the subconscious mind?
mm. That's a very, very powerful question. And I'll give you like the hook, right?
When did
So
you
this
let
was
go the advertising boat and climbed on to the boat of subconscious mind and started initially just
yes,
rowing with the other rowers and slowly you became the captain of the ship of
yes.
scary.
And to take
Scary.
that analogy further, initially first figuring out ये कश्ती है क्या?
Ah,
Where does it even have oars, right? For me to row, is it just sitting in there? Or, acha, there's an oar here. Oh, there's an oar there. It's like, and then sort of figuring out the rhythm. So this takes me back to
ah,
around, should say around very early 2000s. And I had stumbled into what I had, initially studied in college. One of the subjects was counseling. And so
okay,
I came across this very heart center, very driven organization called, it's, so one of them is Helping Hands, but it's part of
okay.
this. So you might know it.
I've heard of
So
helping hands.
in the founder, Dr. Ali Khwaja, was from Hyderabad, then came to Bangalore, and he started Banjara Academy. Right, from he's
Oh,
connected to the Banjara group,
okay,
the
okay. Hmm,
Hyderabad group.
hmm,
And so he eventually started this counseling center, which was Helping Hands. And the
hmm.
Banjara Academy was, let's say, their for profit arm, where they would
Got it.
have courses and stuff, but again, not
Hmm,
exorbitantly priced.
hmm,
And so, you could go there, do your, say, like a 6 month diploma in
hmm,
counseling, and they had other, micro courses. And so that kind of helped me find my way back. And just a few, let's say, two, two, two turns of the knob before that,
ah.
I came across somebody called Dr. Gideon Arulmani. So he is a
Gideon Arul
Gideon
Mani.
Arulmani.
Uh-huh.
That's his
Nambalada.
surname.
Arul Mani na
Nambar.
Nambalada.
Exactly. Right. So he had an outfit based out of Bangalore,
Okay.
and kudos to my mom for keeping a lookout for me. So she found like a little cutout, what used to be called the Metro Plus. The
Uh,
I think it was the Hindus, the Metro Plus. She found an article
uh,
that had been. written, on the work that he was doing, and he and his wife, right,
Okay.
Sonali. So Dr. Sonali and Dr. Gideon Arulmani, right? So he was into this whole, uh, and this is, I'm talking of the time when we would be, so multiple intelligences was sort of like the thing in the early 2000s, which
Uh,
is Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences,
okay.
which
Okay.
is like saying your math oriented language and so on and so forth,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Understood. Hmm.
Um, so that was one of, like, he talked about the Gallup profile.
Sequence.
So this was sort of like a,
Right.
in the early 2000s, it was sort of like a very popular thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
So he used to use that a lot in his sort of psychoprofiling of, who you are, what you can do. So basically blending world of work
Hmm.
and your personal world, and you kind of find the mid ground, and then
Hmm.
you go about looking for jobs, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I found him around 2000, oh, I should say 2002, 2003.
Okay.
And so it's like 20, 22, 23 years ago,
Hmm.
and 24 years ago, in fact.
Uh,
And interestingly, we kind of struck up a connection, and then I ended up even working in his office as sort of like a young intern or whatever, briefly, right?
not
Because again,
bad.
it was
Yeah.
this whole
Not
searching
bad.
for. So he, interestingly, as we're
Because
sort of threading
working
it,
there is like how I
exactly. That
did.
was,
You become a roadie to a rock band to learn the ropes.
yes, yes, that was exactly the intention. And
Okay.
so,
Okay.
as luck would have it, he had tie-ups with different schools where he would go and uh, run this battery of these tests, but
Okay.
he would do it in a way where he was teaching it. So he wouldn't just administer it. So there was this section before test administration where he would do his own sort of, um,
Allow me to help you with the word sensitization.
Uh, I don't
Kind
know
of
what sense. I mean, it was
sensitize
more
the
like,
crowd
so he
first.
was demoing it basically, right?
Acha.
To
Okay.
me, the demo
Okay.
part is the
Hmm.
the hero of the
Because
story, because
to the school
I
children, the moment you utter that word test, the guards come up.
correct, exactly right, exactly right.
That way.
So
Because for
so there
such a
was this
test, you
sudden
need to have your
opening.
guard down to be, yeah. Go on,
Exactly,
go on, go on.
exactly. So
Hmm.
basically, he so I went along with him as his assistant
Okay.
to, like, basically like a teaching assistant or a training assistant. Uh, and I got to see him do this in a couple of places. And then he had this one more gig in Uti, and he was like, "Would you like to I mean, why don't you tag along?"
Uh,
And he was like, "Do the session there." And I
Uti.
was like, "Ha, Uti mein.
Uh,
There's one of
uh,
the schools there." He's like, why don't you take one of the classes? Like, the school is called the Hebron Schools. Okay. So this was like, as a adult, probably my first ever uh, opportunity to facilitate. Now we call it facilitation. And I had no, I mean, obviously I hadn't been to any formal, like now you have training schools and you can learn facilitation, whatever.
exactly.
This was just me. He was sort of like nudged me into the not shallow, not deep end, because he was there in the room.
Hmm.
And it was his model that I was essentially running, but he was like, "You
Hmm.
run it how you want to."
Hmm.
So therefore, when you talk about math, this is how you do it. When you talk about spatial intelligence, this is what it means, and all of that, like a paper plane, and I threw it. And so I did what later I realized was basically what, in a way, you call theater in education. You're
Correct.
dramatizing
Hmm.
content with context in a way where it becomes, relevant to people, firstly,
क्या
and it also
बात है.
becomes memorable.
Hmm.
So this is like
Hmm.
the, me, I guess, at that point, midish 20s, learning the ropes. And mind you, this is pre YouTube and Facebook, and none of that had come on the scene yet.
It was
Right?
during those days when one cellular phone call used to cost $8 or ten
Yeah.
bucks.
Yeah. And you had, like, you literally knew the number of people who had cellular phones,
Cellular phones.
right? It wasn't even called cell phones, it was cellular phones back then,
Cellular phones. That's.
right? It's
Oh
it's
my
like as
God.
dated as that, right? So anyway, so at that point, so if I look back, like, that was again a moment of, somebody as a master facilitator
Uh,
trusting me to do that, because he hadn't, like, done a formal, okay, say this, don't say this, do that, don't do that.
not
He
bad.
just kind of went with his gut, and in many ways that's what I do today with people who are especially students in my communities, people, students in my courses also, right? Where
Mm.
as they're learning NLP, as they're learning hypnosis, and they are, practicing it, it's the same thing. I literally give them the opportunity to just, work with each other. Like,
Mm.
one of you is the hypnotist, one of you is the client. And so literally, and you're not simulating it, you're not acting out a problem, you're literally
Ah,
working with someone on what they're dealing with in the moment, and real issues, real stuff.
I
So
understand.
cut back to that point, and that was, again, as I look back now, that was a really powerful moment.
Mm.
And so by then I had kind of started to ask questions, and I was like, okay, when I think about what do I want,
Mm.
I've always been very connected to and very passionate with theater. And so, as it, again, time and place, two of my, technically three of my seniors had, between them, they had like about a 2 year head start. So
Okay.
they went from college, post college,
Mm.
to running a company
Mm.
where they did theater based. Initially, it was theater based, what they call theater in education, which
Okay.
is
Interesting.
essentially where you're taking the elements of theater, elements of
Mm-hmm.
education, and you're, making education more palatable, more, as you said, the
Mm.
guards don't need to come up, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
exactly.
Mm.
So that was where I found these guys. And so there was Sibu was, there was Rajesh, PI, and there was Arif, right? Arif Mohammed.
Okay.
So these three of
Okay.
them had this Jugalbandi, and they had like started a company. And so initially I started, to learn the ropes.
Mm.
And they also ran a course in my own college, in Christ
Okay.
College.
Okay.
Back then, Christ College, now it's Christ University.
Uh-huh.
And so I said, okay, I've learned the fundamentals of, like,
Mm.
how do you even design a program? How do you design a session? Right?
Mm.
Literally, like, it
Mm.
had taken, now as I look back, it had elements of probably what you learn in B.Ed as a teacher. Right? So they themselves had gone through their own processes, and they had kind of
Mm.
arrived at this. Here is how you create a module. Here is how you lead a class. Here is, what you do, what you watch out for, and so on and so forth. And so,
Basically, the complete package. You learn pre-production, production, as well as post-production. So
exactly,
all the
exactly.
phases. Wow.
Yeah.
Go on.
And it's
Interesting.
interesting you talked about the post production, because
Uh,
that loop did not close until these last couple of years. So the the pre-production and the actual production is
hmm.
what has been building out over decades.
Hmm.
And now I can safely say, and I can squarely say, that over the last, say, 5, 6 years,
Hmm.
that has started to come together. So what do I mean by that? Obviously, I'm talking about, in aaj ke zamane mein, we're talking about funnels, right? So as someone who is, for people out there, it's like, if you're already a coach, or you're a healer, or you're somebody, that wants to run a business, and especially if it's an educational business,
Hmm.
it's one thing to just do workshops, which has been around forever.
Correct.
But when you actually have a community,
Huh.
and for the community, when you have essentially a funnel, which means if it's designed well,
Hmm.
it will help them. Versus, you pay only this much and you'll only get this much. You pay so much more, you'll get so much more.
Hmm.
That's a different kind of model. This is more like saying, this is
इतना
more,
पैसा में इतना ही मिलेगा. That model.
that is a different model. In education, from
Hmm.
my perspective, my philosophy,
Hmm.
I treat it similar to, let's say, if you were wanting to learn yoga, you have a drop in yoga class.
Correct.
You also can do a 1 month yoga session,
Uh-huh.
or like like do a 1 month of yoga. You
Hmm.
could also do a teacher's training in yoga.
Okay.
The
Okay.
fundamentals are the same, the
Hmm.
basic fundamentals are the same,
Hmm.
but the approach is different, right? When you're doing a teacher's training, you're learning yoga to be able to understand the fundamentals, to
Uh,
be able to incorporate it, imbibe it, incorporate it, and tomorrow to be able to teach it to others,
correct.
right?
Correct.
Now, as it so happens, amongst the many
Hmm.
things that I have learned over time, over the last 20 plus years, I've also officially, I'm also a certified teacher of, as in, like, I've done a 200-hour teachers training
अरे
certification.
धन्य हो
So,
गुरुदेव. क्या बात है वाह.
but
Ah,
again,
uh,
but again, to crisscross stories, and
uh,
in case people want everything sequential. This is, you asked, so I'm delivering.
Man,
Uh,
hold that thought. I'm just talking to myself. UD bro, yoga, breath के बारे में कितना मालूम होगा यार इसको?
mm,
And breath.
you asked, I may
How that
deliver.
must be helping you to link
Mm,
with the concepts of the mind because you
correct.
understand the breath. Wow, thank you. Hey, Yudi, you hold on. I'll be back. थोड़ा बीच में मेटा पोजीशन जाता रहता हूँ मैं.
Good.
हाँ,
I
बोलिए
love
सर.
the way that you're owning it.
Yes.
That is so unique, and it's so,
Thank
it's so you,
Thank you.
right?
I know. Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
so yeah, so like I said, what I learned over a period of time, this is something that has just, you talked about the pre-production, production, and then the post.
Post production.
The post-production, of course, आज के ज़माने में, if you look at it, a lot of people are at different stages of wanting to be able to maximize their innate skill or talent
Hmm.
into a business, whether it is a side business or whether it is their main focus. I won't even use the word hustle. It's like,
Hmm.
you're doing it, you have a regular job, but you really enjoy this. So you're doing this, say, on the weekends, or you're doing it online. Or, of course, where you're like, you've reached that point where, like, enough, no more. I can't do the regular job. I want to do something at my pace, my rules. And so, even in that case, the post production is, in fact, far more important. Like they say, if you want to build a product, build the prototype, do the as an MVP, which is like the most basic level of the product,
Hmm.
and offer it to people so that if you even get a wait list,
Hmm.
then you can create more of it.
True.
पुराने ज़माने में we were taught the other way around, even in an
Hmm.
MBA school level, right? That you
Correct.
spend months literally building something, and then by the time you offer it to the market,
Hmm.
they may or may not even want it, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Hmm.
Right? Build your website for 6 months and then go and tell people, hey, I'm launching something. And they're like, who are you? Versus the other way around, which is
Hmm.
the more intuitive way, which is you create the smallest, quickest possible unit and let people sample it.
My God, what you just shared, Rahul, it just took me back to a deeper insight, which I found
Mm,
very relevant with something which I learned,
mm,
cybernetics.
mm, mm,
Huh. Yeah,
mm,
cybernetics. I have
mm,
a goal, I have a reference value, then I take action, then I
mm.
see whether the product works, I get feedback, and then the
Yes.
adjustment happens.
Yes.
If the adjustment is not
Exactly.
needed,
Exactly.
I
It,
feel you, bruh. I feel you.
and I say
Wow.
this
Huh.
having done all the other stuff first. Let me put it into context, right? It's like I've done all those old models, which
ठीक
is,
है, ठीक है.
build your brand, build your logo, build all of that, and then build your business.
Hmm.
Which, okay, I can say I have the the luxury of time,
Right.
meaning I have been on this journey now for more than 20 years. So my story is has these elements.
Beautiful.
Of course, if you look at it, आज के ज़माने में, there's a lot more information available. There's a lot more knowledge available. There's also a lot more wisdom available, right? Now, of course, when you say wisdom is available, wisdom is wisdom only when it flows through you, right? तब तक
Yeah.
के लिए, whatever somebody tells you, even if it's from a place of wisdom,
Hmm.
it's not yours until it's yours. It's not yours until you've lived it,
True. True.
right?
True.
So that would be my way of sort of,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
reflecting on it, that um, there are a lot more millionaires, billionaires today who are openly sharing their secrets of what to do and what not to do. Some do it for money, some do it purely from a place of from a place of altruism. But of course, they are still looking at it like, like there's this guy called Simon Squibb who
Hmm. Hmm.
goes around the world literally now, and he pokes a camera, or not even a camera, a mic into your face and say, hey, Yuri, what's your dream? Right? That's his sort
Hmm.
of
That's his
open,
style
right?
of doing that.
That's
Hmm.
his way of sort of like man on the street.
Hmm.
So I'm saying 10, even 10 years ago, it wasn't as prevalent or as easily visible today
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
accessible, because there was no TikTok, no
Social media
Insta, even no
platforms.
social media. This is like the plus side of it.
Correct.
So anyway, so I'm saying,
Uh,
so it's beautiful that you kind of talked about pre-post, pre-production and then post.
Production.
So that which I had been looking for probably for more than a decade,
Mm.
this whole thing of how do you package something that is so abstract? And I'm sure in your own experience, it's
Exactly.
like how do you tell somebody about NLP? How do you um, give somebody that experience where they realize that it is something that's like a silver bullet for them? It's like
Mm.
if you don't know, it's hard to even if someone asks you what is NLP,
Mm.
it's pretty hard to describe it.
Very difficult.
It's like if you ask if somebody asks you what's electricity, it's pretty abstract,
Can I
right?
tell you, though I'm not as experienced as an NLP practitioner as yourself, however, I have absolutely no shame in saying that I'm yet to come up with
Mm.
my own definition.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So that's a good that's a good segue
Uh,
because speaking of this whole discovery and the
hmm.
production part kind of suddenly went into high gear. So we're still in that
ठीक है,
early 2000 phase.
ठीक है.
And that's when I was doing my course in counseling, I stumbled into this thing called NLP. And one of the resource people who had come to the Banjara Academy, which is
Hmm.
one of the afternoon sessions that I was attending, and she said something about transformation. I don't know, now it seems pretty like out there in the air, but something about the way she said it kind of connected. But
Okay.
I somehow had that inner resistance of, change your life in 2 days. I mean, to an extent, even today, I would say uh, take it with a pinch of salt, right? Because we know that it is a lot of it is marketing hyperbole, essentially, right?
Absolutely.
Because for every group of, let's say, 100 people, or every group of even 20 people for that matter,
Hmm.
if you go by the typical 80-20, which
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
essentially it's like 100 people, what is it, 20 people?
Hmm.
If it's like 20 people, it's four people.
Correct.
I would go one step further, which is like the 4%, right? Which is
Hmm.
80-20 of that 20%.
Hmm.
That is actually the number that you will see exhibiting the change your life in 2 days. Because they were like the paya, they were, you know, on the boil for so many years. And then they happened to come to your program, boom, everything just clicked, right? So it's almost like your program became the before after for them. Yeah. You see
Ah.
where I'm going with that?
Hmm.
So it's not that it doesn't work.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
not that the claims are false claims,
Correct.
but
Correct.
there is a big asterisk or asterisks attached to it,
Absolutely.
right?
Conditions apply.
Conditions in,
Absolutely.
in big, bold, 72 font.
Absolutely.
So anyway, cut back
Hmm.
to that moment in time. And I said,
Hmm.
okay, I get it. Um, I'm not convinced, but I just like the way that lady spoke. It turns out, of course, that that lady, she had the one and only time that Bandler's ever come to India. She happened to be, you know, around at that time when he came to India, and from what I
You
remember,
got
she
to
had
meet.
attended his course.
And
She
you
had
got to meet.
attended his course. I'll come to the second part. She attended his course
Huh.
in India, right? Maybe Bangalore, maybe Bombay. I don't know.
Okay.
In fact, if you look at a lot of Bandler's videos, even now, when he does the breath, a lot of it he learned here. I forget which Yogi Baba he came across, but I know, and if you do a little bit of digging, I'm sure you'll find it.
Oh, I didn't know
I
this.
know he met somebody here that kind of framed his um, orientation to breath. The breathe from your nostrils, or look at the, like let your eyes kind of almost cross over. When
Uh,
you hear him, and I'm talking obviously in my NLP research and development days of like
hmm,
almost
hmm,
15 years,
hmm.
one of those audio tapes I remember had, and it was audio tapes because it
Uh,
was like somebody had audio taped and then uploaded it to, these your Pirate Bay, and then I had downloaded it. This is
uh,
like long, long ago types
uh, uh.
when it literally wasn't available here.
Hmm, hmm.
And I, of course, there was what is the word for it? Um, It'll come to me in a second.
Uh,
Basically, it's like for all that you took, you gave back. So I'll come to that in a moment.
hmm, hmm,
But anyway,
hmm,
so
hmm.
this lady had experienced it firsthand. So something about the way she spoke kind of connected. So fast forward to 2007, and I realized that there was somebody else who learned from Richard Bandler himself. whose name also is Richard. So you may have heard his name. His name is Richard McHugh. So Dr. Richard McHugh, also known as Dick, right? All Richards are known as Dick. But
Huh,
he would
huh,
say, "My name is Dick and I want to be called Dick." Right.
huh,
And of course, he knew it was a pattern interrupt amongst other things.
huh.
Amazing guy, like 6 foot
Mm.
three, blue
Extreme.
eyes, retired Jesuit priest, amazing sense of humor, timing,
Ah,
and like literally living NLP. Right. And for me,
they don't make men like that anymore.
well, that's a conversation
For
that
another
I'm sure.
podcast.
So,
Hmm,
anyway, one thing
ah,
led to another. So this was, somebody who I discovered. I finally met Dick, who was doing initially. In fact, when I did it, he was doing it in Bombay. So I went to Bombay,
hmm.
learned. In fact, there's this place called the Bandra Retreat House, which
Okay.
shares the wall with Mannat. Right. So there's
Now I got
that
it.
I forget the name of the road, but there's this
Um,
road with a very steep incline.
it's the bandstand.
Yeah, that area, but it's
Bandstand.
literally
Hmm.
Manath has it's like the backyard shares the wall with this place. Beautiful Jesuit institution.
So
So
you
anyway,
look,
long
okay.
story short, I
Hmm.
started my journey there with
Okay.
NLP
So
2007
practitioner course you must have done. Oh,
practitioner
even
course.
those days it used to be a practitioner course,
It
then a
still
master
is.
practitioner.
Yeah,
That
master.
remains the same. Okay.
So it was basically practitioner, master practitioner, and then he had what he called advanced.
Hmm.
So there was one meta program that he had created, which was Tools of the Spirit, and
Wow.
another one was NLP for Health. Okay,
Oh, wow. Okay.
so I
Okay.
did both.
Hmm.
The Tools of the Spirit was pretty abstract because, like you talked about third position, this
Hmm.
was more sort of on a spiritual level. So it took it to another dimension altogether.
Oh my
And
God.
health, as its name suggests, was about things like your allergy cure and stuff like that, right?
Hmm.
So a lot of it had Dilt's work as well, Robert Dilt's,
Okay. Robert Dills.
the logical levels, and
Got
for
it.
those who are familiar with it, you probably know what I'm talking about. Of course, even if you just snip this and you ask your GPT, it'll tell you what we're talking about.
Hmm.
So the good news was that that journey began, and that was more like you said. The pre-production was all the story of advertising to realizing what I don't want to do. The
Hmm.
production was basically where I should say 2005, 6, 7, because I had started my company by then. I used to do theater based. So I remember I told you theater and education.
Correct.
So I
Correct.
took
Correct.
that element out
Huh.
and I did it purely, primarily for corporates. So I would go to these companies and not teach them theater, but
Huh.
use that as a base for all the things they wanted: communication skills, leadership, conflict, change management, right?
Negotiation skills and all that.
Yeah, but in those days, it was still early days. So that
Yeah.
was still, split the difference hadn't yet happened,
Got it.
right? आज के ज़माने में, we know what that means, right?
Huh. I got it.
Chris Voss and all of that.
Got
So point being that this sort of 2005 led into 2007,
it.
NLP happened,
Huh.
and there I started to find the some of those missing pieces in terms of when you're in a session, what do you do? When you're working with
Yes.
people, what do you do? Like I'm sure you know now,
Hmm.
even where you are, you say you've not, you're just starting off, but it sounds like you're only getting deeper, and also because from your own life story, I can sense that you've done a lot of this. It's just that you didn't have that labeling gun. Yeah, that's the only difference. Otherwise, in all the different fields, the projects, the life that you've lived, I know you've already been applying it. It's just that you didn't have the names to say, हाँ मैं ये कर रहा हूँ, मैं pattern interrupt कर रहा हूँ, or you know, positions or perceptual positions, or circle of excellence. Like as a performer, that's what you do all the time, right? And some performers are able to take that into like out away from the stage, from the physical stage, and bring it into other areas of life,
Yes.
right? So this sort of began that journey, as I said, around 2007, and that continued on, and it continues also today because it's never over. We're never done
Hmm.
learning. We're never done, getting better at the fundamentals, the pieces,
True.
right? And which kind of brings me to one more point, because
Uh,
when we talk about doing the work that we do, a lot of times we use this expression, especially healing coaching. May we talk about and as a facilitator, like hold the space, right?
Correct.
I had this beautiful revelation barely 3 weeks ago now,
Oh,
that it's not even it's not really about holding the space, because if you think about it, holding the space involves effort. By definition, you're holding the space, right? And words mean everything. So if you really start to think about it, I'll hang on till you come back. Yeah,
I'm
you're
right
back,
here. I'm right here.
right? So if you no no your video froze for a second.
Oh,
So I
okay. Okay. No, no,
no
I'm
no no
right here. I'm
worries.
right here.
That's Zoom
Hmm.
editing.
Coming back
So
to holding space is
uh,
equals effort.
holding space by because you're holding something,
Holding
right?
it. Got it. Got
Got
it.
it?
Hmm.
Or when you talk about holding space, you're holding space, which
Uh,
means somebody else is in that space where they are transforming or they are having their breakthrough moment
uh,
when
uh,
they're in your presence.
hmm.
And that's something I've been doing for years. What
Hmm.
was interesting and what came to me as an literally as an aha was, or as an epiphany was, it's no longer just about holding space. So one might say, okay, so then what?
Uh,
As I started to kind of ladder that, what came to me was, okay, so if it's not holding space, is it being the space, right? Which is an identity shift in itself. But here's the beautiful part, it doesn't
uh,
stop there.
uh,
When you actually start to think about it, you're like, okay, so if I'm really being the space,
uh,
then in true identity,
uh.
it is I am space,
Yes.
right?
Uh,
So if I am space, like right now, we are literally channeling I am space,
yes.
right?
Yes. I am.
I don't know what you want
Hmm.
in the sense of what is his what is his roadcast format, or what
Hmm.
is his end objective, or
Hmm.
whatever. I don't know that,
Hmm. Hmm.
but
Hmm.
because we are channeling,
Hmm.
as you've also demonstrated, it
Hmm.
doesn't matter. And because it doesn't matter, it matters, right?
And that's why nothing else matters.
Exactly. Yeah. So, so what's
Hmm.
interesting is, it's like when you start to use that as your principle, key, I am space. For me, as I look at it now in the work that I do in my community, that is what I am. I won't even say promoting. That's what I'm exuding. That's what I am
Oh.
reflecting, not even projecting. I'm reflecting that. So for people who are aligned, suddenly, collectively, when we're sitting in a Zoom room,
Uh,
it is I am space. So
mm,
when you are space,
mm,
whoever in that moment is not yet fully aligned is the one that will receive that extra bolt of lightning or enlightening, because that
mm.
is the dissonance that they are experiencing,
Interesting. Very
right?
interesting. What an insight, bro.
Yeah,
Wow. Huh.
right. And like I said, it's taken. I didn't go hunting for it. It
Hmm.
just kind of showed up, because
Hmm.
every word, every
Hmm.
expression, every sentence
Hmm.
means something. Yeah. What
True.
was, I'm sure
True.
you know
True.
this.
True. Huh.
What is it that Blair Singer says? Everything.
Are you there? Uh,
Yeah, you're back.
yeah. Just give me
So
one
I'll
minute. Yeah.
say that. Yeah, you're back. You're back.
Yeah. I'm.
So I'll
I'm
say
just.
that again.
Yeah. Just
Hmm.
1 minute. Yeah.
Sure, sure, sure.
I just need to check why
Yeah,
my
yeah, no worries.
mom's calling me.
No worries. Cool, cool. Cool, no worries.
Thank you so much for your patience, yeah, Rahul.
Most welcome, Yudi.
Ah,
Hmm.
hmm,
So,
hmm.
yeah,
So I am space.
yeah. So basically, that is um the reframe, if you want to call it. And I was saying this to you. I'll say it again,
Hmm,
as I'm sure you've heard many times.
hmm.
Uh, you've heard Blair Singer say this. Everything suggests something,
Everything suggests something. Hmm.
right? So in his expression of suggestology, yeah.
Suggestology. Hmm,
Mm.
hmm,
Mm.
hmm.
So in simple bhasha, e- every word means something, and so when you actually start to listen to the word, when you start to truly pay attention, then you're not just blindly, I talked about templates last night, right? You're not
Hmm.
just on the pot, on the
The
daily pod
life.
that I do,
Hmm,
right?
hmm.
So you're not just blindly following somebody else's formula, or somebody else is aha, right? You need it. When we're starting off, we all need some kind of a wireframe, or a
Correct.
template, or a
Hmm,
blueprint.
hmm.
But ultimately, yeah, like my blueprint can't be yours, and vice versa,
True.
right? It's
True.
useful. It gives me a direction, at least where to look. But then, as I as I keep staying on the journey, as I'm sure even in your own story,
Hmm.
that's where we discover the next dash.
Man, resonate. I resonate well
Mm.
because everything communicates. Hmm.
Yes, yes.
And we can't help not to communicate,
We are
right?
like those, what do they call them? We are those uh, meaning machines. That's what somebody said. Right? We're those meaning
Ah,
machines. So we're always
oh,
looking for iska matlab kya hua.
इसका मतलब ये ऐसा क्यों है?
हाँ.
It's very it's actually so so
Mhm.
earlier I used to say, man, it's so difficult to observe. Now I
Mm.
always say that how can I make it easier to become a better observer?
Yes.
I change.
Exactly.
Oh, I've changed
Exactly.
self-talk a
Yeah, yeah,
lot
yeah, yeah.
now. Helping
Oh.
others will come later. Let
Yes.
me help myself. Let me write my
Yes.
own narratives
Yes.
first. So that's what I've been
Yeah, yeah,
busy
yeah.
with.
Beautiful.
Wow, man. Wow.
Yeah.
And I am no wonder because the new series which you've been posting on
Mm.
Facebook and on social media, the
Mm.
designs and the
Mm,
key
mm.
parts, I find it so fascinating, man. मुझे तो पूरा spiral dynamics दिख रहा था उसमें यार. It was so fascinating, man.
Yeah.
I really, really loved it. Now, uh, so now, after what you shared right
Mm.
now, makes sense to me because over the years, you've worked with so many coaches and so many healers, and in that journey, your own way of
Mm.
helping them would have
Yes.
evolved so much.
Yeah.
My God. And you've observed how people struggle with
Mm.
their own value system, with their own
Mm.
meaning, and things like that. Wow, man. You are doing a great help for the coaches and healers. It's
Mm.
like the motivator needs motivation too from time to time.
True, true, true.
So the coaches and the healers need coaching and healing from time to time. It's so fascinating, yeah. And coming back to the post which you've made,
Mm-hmm.
recently you spoke about three frames.
Mm.
I remember distinctly because
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
follow you very carefully and word to word, color to color, frame to
Mm.
frame. I follow you pretty closely. So recently you spoke about three frames. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
have my posted in front of me and made a
Mm-hmm.
note of it.
Mm.
Rewards,
Mm.
mortality,
Mm.
and community, and
Mm.
how they influence the feeling of meaning in our lives. Yeah,
Mm.
I've understood that. Now,
Mm.
something interesting. I see. I resonate with the first two. No problem.
Mm.
Yeah. Something interesting happens when I hear the word community.
Mm.
I know, UD, relax. I know Rahul would have wanting me to talk about that. Yeah. See, as I said, I resonate very well with rewards and mortality. Yeah? But community
Mm,
sometimes feels like too many people for me.
mm, mm.
I
Nice.
know it's me. I know it's
Yeah, yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And recently, I heard a phrase. I think in one of the clips with Raj
Mm,
Shamani's clips, I heard the
mm,
phrase
mm,
about with age or whatever, or with certain time frame and
mm.
phases, the people tend to become social emotional preference syndrome or something like
Okay.
that. We only have
Okay.
very few people and
Mm,
things like that.
mm,
So, this is what I really wanted to speak to you about,
mm, mm.
because I know that it would be a very honest moment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
Oh yeah.
I want to learn from you actually.
Mm,
And
mm,
how did you bring in the community aspect,
mm, mm,
irrespective of the kind of values and belief systems you
mm,
have or you've been raised with?
mm, mm.
How did you get into the community
Right.
thing?
Let me answer your question in reverse.
Hmm,
Instead of, and I love the way you said it because the word that stood out was irrespective. In fact, it's the other way around. It is
ah,
solely, I wouldn't say primarily, it's solely driven
hmm,
by who I'll say who I am.
hmm,
And therefore, if you had to take a leaf out of this book, and
hmm,
if you truly do, or
hmm,
you are thinking about, let's say building a community,
hmm,
it will flow from you. It's not about what's not your values, it's the other way around. It's what you truly believe in.
hmm,
Yeah.
hmm. इस पे नमन करूंगा,
Yes.
इस पे
And
नमन करूंगा आज.
100%, right? And, for folks listening, I mean, in simple terms, it's like community doesn't mean an ever growing, you know,
Hmm.
uh, it's almost like saying, literally, it's not like a sales driven, हर महीने 20 लोग आने चाहिए, फिर 40 लोग, फिर 200 लोग. That's a very, and again, let me sort of say it like this. It works for some people, right?
Of
But,
course, of course.
but as
Hmm.
I said, ultimately it flows through you. It's what your psychology, it's what your physiology is made of. And you rightly said it that forget anybody else. Let me start with me. Let me, and therefore now I'm working on myself. And it's beautiful because it's not like you have to wait to work on yourself. This is like a lifetime project, right? It's like your magnum opus that was never meant to get completed. That's the beauty of it, right?
Hmm.
So if you look at it like that,
Hmm.
then as you keep discovering more of you, you now have something to share with others. That's how I look at this whole thing. So it's not about saying, Array, I'll put it into context and say how I've been doing it. And I was looking at some of the old pictures, some of the old videos also over like even like 6 years ago.
Hmm.
At this point, we are like somewhere in that active users, if you want to call it that, is
Hmm.
somewhere in the 10 to 12 range,
Ha,
which can be interpreted in any number of ways.
ha.
My question is, why are those people with you? And what is it that you are channeling? That's why physiology. What are you channeling that can make their lives better? And it's got very little to do with you. It's like, what's your message? What's your purpose? What's your mission?
Hmm.
So linking it back to where you started
Hmm.
your question
Hmm.
about age, I
Hmm.
get it.
Hmm.
I will not say I'm a recluse because I spend a lot of my time on Zoom with my
Correct, correct,
community, and
correct. Neither
it's
am I,
not like
neither
I,
am I. Neither am I.
right? Not
Hmm.
like I'm a shut-in, but
Hmm.
I'm far more conscious
Hmm.
of who, when, for how long I
Hmm.
share that energy, that space,
Hmm.
right? Because if I when I truly believe I'm space,
Hmm.
so I'm therefore that much more um, sensitive or more present to
Hmm.
space.
Hmm.
And so if the dimension of space changes, I can tell almost immediately. If the vastu of the space is changing, I can to use that
I love that
expression,
metaphor, man.
right? Because it's
भाई वही
space.
तो पंगा है यार बिकॉज मे बी माई फियर इज भैया मेरे वास्तु का हाथ मत लगाओ यार
हाँ, नहीं तो
दैट
वही है ना. So also, if when you realize that what you have been given is not supposed to be directed by you. Let me put into context. When you when you started our pod today, right? When you started our broadcast today, you did not make it about you. You submitted or you leaned into something bigger than you.
yes sir
This is no different than when you approach the word community. That's all I'll say for now. Like you said, I know, and I don't believe in um, topoing my philosophy on other people,
absolutely
right? So I'm just saying for now
hmm.
that,
Hmm.
and I'm glad that you kind of drew this frame so beautifully. And I know there are, as it is, there are a lot of open loops, and that's the beauty of this work that we do and our own human stories. I
Hmm.
always believe that some of the greatest relationships are built with open loops, right? And so for people who are listening, and of course, this is our second uh, longish conversation. The last time it was the
Conversation
other way around. I was asking you
hmm.
questions,
Hmm.
uh, right? That was, I think, a year and a half ago.
Hmm.
And my point being that I'm sure there will be a lot of loops that may close and that may open, and locks that may like whatever that closing that had happened earlier,
Hmm.
it'll probably open now. And of course, as I said, I'm sure, right place, right time, we will be having that. Do you remember that day we were having that
No, no, I
conversation? And
understand. I understand. Let me just,
Mhm,
after just chatting with you about
mhm,
this, I was just thinking because the coaching and the self-development industry, as we
mhm.
call it, has grown massively over the
True,
last
true,
decade. Yeah.
true.
However, and with growth comes both
Correct. I
wisdom
love that. With
and
growth
noise.
comes both. I love
I'm a
the
songwriter,
vroom.
baby. With wisdom, with growth
Yeah,
comes both
comes both. Yeah.
wisdom and
Mm.
noise.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
So I am good with receiving
Mm.
wisdom.
Mm.
I'm learning how to receive and let go noise.
Nice. Perfect.
I'm
Yeah.
learning. I'm
Yeah.
learning. I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
evolving every single day.
100%. 100%.
And slowly I am able to notice changes in me. I am able to, because I can't just shun away the noise. You know,
Mm.
you
Mm.
can't noise, exactly as a
Mm.
metaphor, the noise, uh, that noise is not actually noise.
Mm. True.
It's
True. True.
like then I was thinking about it, the way I learned it, because I love rock and roll and heavy metal
Mm.
music. Then I
Mm.
remember a lot of people find heavy metal music as noise,
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but I find it divine to my
Yeah.
ears.
Yeah.
Why is that distinction? Then
Yeah.
I connected that reference from my memory bank, from my memory palace,
Mm.
to this concept.
Nice.
What I think is noise is heavy metal to someone
Mm.
else.
True.
How do I turn this noise into heavy metal for me?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
Because, yeah, what is
Mm.
noise to someone else? I see melodic, beautiful
Mm.
arrangements there,
Mm. Mm.
beautiful sounds and techniques of arranging. And,
Mm.
there's so many things,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
seems like noise to someone else. So,
Mm.
with growth comes both
Yeah.
wisdom and noise.
Nice.
So, that's
Oh
how
yeah.
I've been working on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, interesting, man. It's really interesting. Now, I hypnosis. First of all,
Mm,
I, what does that I stand
mm,
for? Is that
mm,
the first person pronoun? And
mm,
I love the way you spelt the word hypnosis.
mm.
Yeah, it's a
So,
very Rahul G. Oh, that comes from that ancient advertising. Allow me to use the metaphor, the generic layman's metaphor, Kida.
mm. I,
Kida.
I, I thank you for saying it because, or for recognizing it because I chose to keep it.
Ah.
But again, credit where credit is due. This was like the early days, so I'm talking like 2019.
Hmm. Hmm.
2019. No, this was actually 22. So in the whole, like we talked about pre-production, production, and post-production, which is
Hmm.
essentially the packaging, the
Ha, ha,
labeling,
ha.
so that people know you're there and they find you and then they consume you and therefore, they have an experience. Um, in that era, especially in maybe another day, we'll talk about the beginning of that 2019
Definitely.
saga, but I'll sort of like
No,
skip
I
forward to
already see
22.
part two, part three, part four convo with
Exactly.
Rahul George happening in the near future. I can, मैं future pacing शुरू कर दिया भाई.
So that was a good one. So in 22, so this was like post-COVID, I had, taken a brief sabbatical from this whole marketing funnels. Because I had gone really deep into it, 2019 to 2021, I should say.
Okay.
So 22, when I came back, like, okay, let's get this going.
Hmm.
I had by then closed a lot of loops in terms of NLP and hypnosis. I had by then found you could say finally I had found the secret sauce, right? At least I knew what it was. Then it was about the application of it and being able to do the things that I do
No, no,
today.
no. How, from NLP, how did you get into hypnosis?
Huh.
Hmm.
So there are two parts to this.
Okay.
So
No,
as far as
because I'm so sorry to interrupt you, ladies and
Mhm.
gentlemen. I'm sure a lot of you, the moment you hear the word hypnosis, that
Mm.
word came into my life thanks to Indrajal Comics Mandrake the
Right, yes, Mandrake the
What?
magician.
You shooting with a banana? That's how the word hypnosis came into my life as a child. Now, as Rahul would also agree, and even earlier, even during the NLP era when it started, and Richard Bandler was, I met, Milton Erickson, Gurudev,
Mm. Mm.
and so hypnosis was something like. To a layman, when you say hypnosis, immediately look at
Mm.
my eyes, look at the
Yeah,
pendulum
yeah,
swinging,
yeah.
abracadabra, and magic and trick. That's what usually a
It's
layman,
the trick part of it.
understands.
So,
How did you, so the I, so what I feel, what, correct me if I'm
mm.
wrong, I
Hmm.
hypnosis is a derivation of self hypnosis, self
That's one
journey.
interpretation, but as
Okay,
I said, the two
self.
parts.
Okay,
So I'll kind of
okay,
like tell you the
let's
story
go.
in a jagged way.
Let's go.
As I said, I was, in the whole marketing of personal brand. How do you do
ठीक है,
it?
ठीक है.
This was like, it was already 3 years into that PhD, shall we say, by doing all the courses and all of that. I'm talking like just pre-COVID and then post-COVID as well.
ठीक है.
And so that was when I happened to come across Sid, as in Siddharth Rajshekhar. And
हाँ.
one of the conversations that we had where we were working together, and he was, as in the role of my coach, he essentially like asked me a couple of questions, and then as he started to kind of weave together, basis my story and all of that, he said, uh, call it eye hypnosis, like you have iPad, iPhone. So he being a techie and he
Hmm.
loving Apple and its ecosystem and all of that, like he's a big fan of it.
Hmm.
So this is, of course, I'm talking now, what, 4 years ago.
Hmm.
So that was his suggestion that take the I, so it becomes sort of ubiquitous to, in this case, everything hypnosis, and the SYS is like a system. That was how the name went from HIPNOSIS, which is the hypnosis, to HYPNOSYS, sys as in systems, and then the
Got
I is, yeah. So that's the nomenclature, the naming of it. And through the many avatars that happened between 22 and 26, that name kind of survived that Uh,
Mm.
you know,
Oh,
the
I love the word play which is there in your name. First, it has the I, so I mind
yes,
read. I mind read. Maybe that
exactly,
I is self. Then
exactly.
hypnosis, and then I saw the first syllable of the word system at the end. मैंने बोला आय हाय cybernetics में
Huh,
घुसा रहे हैं भाई
correct,
में
exactly. Right. So
system,
there are many layers, right? And you're right in that. Is it self hypnosis? Yes, because the way I today practice it, the
okay.
way I today teach it, even to my students,
Hmm.
self hypnosis is a large part of what I do, right?
Correct.
Because I have, and when we talked about community also, I have made it a point for it to be more about the community, the space, and you are the hero of your story, right? Rather than Rahul is the magician who can do this for you. Yes, granted, I have been doing it for a period of time. So when I'm in a session or when I'm doing the work,
Hmm.
it can feel like it's magic happening. But
Hmm.
my intention is for you to realize that the magic is you. It's not I am the magic, it's you are the magic. So even when I do a process, it's because you are willing to trust. You are willing to let go in that moment. So
Hmm.
to me, it's like a 60-40 or a 70-30, where it's you or an 80-20, where
Hmm.
you're doing, and it's your being or your beingness that is most of the work, right? So I'll pause that for a moment. So that was the name part of it.
Hmm. Hmm.
And sort of jumping back in time,
Hmm.
um, I discovered pretty early that Bandler had, as in Dr. Richard Bandler, had studied Milton Erickson, who is known in a lot of circles as the father of modern hypnosis. And so that is there in NLP. However, it depends on where you learn it because a lot of people have not trained in hypnosis. So they are only teaching you certain things that they have learned, like some of the patterns or like a swish or a squash or a circle of excellence. So these are very powerful processes on their own,
Hmm.
but most people that have learned NLP do not yet have that affinity or a deep love for hypnosis. For me, what I realized with time was that NLP was my gateway drug for me to find hypnosis, which is, as I consider it, my Brahmastra. Because and not just hypnosis, but conversational hypnosis. So it is not about, as you said, it's not about all of that. It's just with my tonality, can I go into a state of hypnosis where it seems the most comfortable for you, the most safe for you to let go. And in doing so, you're able to find what you really want, which is why, to close that previous loop for the moment about my interviewer at HTA saying, "What do you want?" As I had said earlier, also, that is exactly what I will always come back and ask you over and over and over again.
Hmm.
And even as we're speaking, a lot of times people get lost. They start to focus on what they don't want, or they start to focus on the lack of, right, the lack of infrastructure, the lack of opportunities, the lack of this, the lack of that, and to which my simple pattern interrupt essentially leads them to this one question: what do you want? Right? And a
What
lot
would
of
you
times
like
that's
to have
enough
happen?
to,
Hmm.
I would say, that's, to me, that's a more advanced question. If
Hmm.
I just say, what do you want? Because the in my experience, the have happen is still, I'm not saying right, wrong, sequentially, whatever. Like when
I
I
understand.
practice it, I have found that the simplest route is just by starting here.
Very
The
good.
other way, of course, is where if someone is spinning out, all I'll say is, okay, so what's beyond that? Which is again a conversational hypnotic structure, if you want to call it that.
Hmm.
It sounds very simple, but most people don't speak like that, right? Most people will want to do bulky khal of the problem that you have,
Ah,
or you
ah.
will, be the listener, and the person will try very hard, consciously or unconsciously, to convince you about their hypnosis, which is life sucks, or they don't have the opportunity, or world is out to get them. Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's sort of like blending the two. The why hypnosis plays such an important part in my own journey. And in the context of, facilitation and teaching and building community, I use it as a tool literally from the moment people come into my universe and they, attend the foundation. I teach them the simplest structure to start looking at your own life or life that you're part of through this lens. And pretty soon you realize, okay, it's almost like a lot of times people have that neo moment where you suddenly see the bullet and you go, you do that and it's like, or you do that and then the bullet just like, oh, sorry, truck, and
Stops.
it just drops down. And then it's like everything, you know, then you kind of like, oh, okay,
Mm.
well, this is a world. And then, of course, we start to explore and discover.
So basically, you don't tell them,
No,
uh, no,
I don't tell them.
take the blue pill, not the red pill. They make
No,
their own
not required.
choices.
My point is, even
Mm,
saying take the blue pill or the red pill
mm. It's not
requires effort because, which means I have to make your mind conjure up a blue and a red pill,
correct.
right?
ये कॉन्शियस माइंड का लफड़ा है यार. कॉन्शियस माइंड को यूज किया ना एफर्ट आता है यार.
But I'll go one step further.
हाँ.
This is, you could call it a reframe in a way
Hmm.
that if you go back to evolution, the conscious mind exists for a reason.
Correct.
Conscious mind है तो survival है तभी तो यहाँ है, right?
Correct. Correct.
So to me, I'm constantly finding different ways, discovering different ways for people to celebrate the conscious mind. कि
Hmm.
उसको थैंक यू बोलो.
Definitely.
मतलब
Definitely.
कि उसको थैंक यू बोलो, इतना बोलो कि वो थोड़ा रिलैक्स हो जाए.
हाँ. ताकि
Where
आप
it suddenly
सबकॉन्शियस
realize, yeah,
वहां घुस सका.
correct. In the technical jargon, basically it is where we are doing, like a bypassing the critical factor.
यू नो.
मतलब कि
हाँ हाँ
your
हाँ. गो
conscious
गो.
mind is the gatekeeper.
करेक्ट.
When for example, like you said, you do the you're getting sleepy, that's the slow version. The other version, very famous scene, Woody Harrelson is this sort of con man, mentalist essentially.
हाँ.
And he creates a quick pattern interrupt. So that's another way to bypass the, it's like the, if I reach out and you will find your hand starting to go up, and then I just do, if I do this as we did as kids,
Hmm.
it was the, you don't feel good about it.
Hmm.
As a hypnotist, if I do that and with my other hand, I gently hold the hand that's coming up, and then I look at it and I say, look at one point, and then I say, as you'll notice, your hand starts to move towards your face. You're already in hypnosis. That is basically what they call the handshake interrupt.
Correct.
Because again, it's cultural.
Hmm.
In, like they say, in Japan, they won't get it. But in the Western world,
Ah,
right? In the Western world,
I never thought of that. Ah.
exactly. So in the Western world, we get it. And we are sort of quasi Western world in that sort of,
Correct. Correct. Correct.
having
Correct.
been, let's say, um, exposed to Hollywood and
The
the Western.
Ericksonian handshake.
No, so
Oh,
the
that's
joke is,
different. That's
eh,
different. Huh.
well, actually, the joke is, and again, these are all urban myths or legends at this
Urban
point,
legends.
urban legends.
Uh,
Uh, Remember, Milton was paralyzed,
correct.
like
At the
pretty
age of
much
19, and he got
all
attacked
the
again
way,
in
all the
midlife.
way,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So technically, he couldn't really move his hands or do pattern interrupts, or let's say handshake interrupts.
Correct.
But so what you're talking about is where he would, lightly touch on the hand and it would sort of. Now, here's the thing, we all do that, right?
Hmm.
If I was talking to you like this
Hmm.
and I'm like really lost in my conversation,
Hmm.
right now, what this hand, I can see it from the corner of my eyes, so I know what's happening.
Hmm.
But this hand is right now cataleptic. It's not moving.
Hmm. Hmm.
This is hypnosis. Why are these fingers stuck in time? That is a different kind, that is a different version way of saying that this is literally like a hypnotic occurrence,
Happening right now. Mm.
right? It's happening right now. So the idea being that
Mm.
hypnosis is happening all the time.
Mm.
Even right now, we've been so locked in that
Absolutely.
we may have missed a lot of other things because this was the intention,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
So that's what I'm saying. Like for
Correct.
me, and I find it fascinating because there's always something to notice in the way people behave, in the way people intonate, in the way people, uh, you know,
Use word,
punctuate punctuate words, expressions.
pause.
A lot of times they're saying stuff,
Uh,
but they're not hearing themselves. So in a facilitator context or a therapeutic context,
uh,
that's beautiful because a lot of times that's like therapy just waiting to happen. By
mm,
just me slowing down to the point where I'm able to hear each word and syllable come out,
mm,
and then at the right moment, kind of like flick it back,
mm.
where I'm like, "Did you hear yourself?" It's like, "Huh? Yeah. Did you hear what you just said?" And in that moment, when they start to hear it back, boom, something clicks.
Wow, man. Again,
Mhm.
when you talk about coming back to celebrate the conscious mind,
Mhm.
be very grateful to the conscious mind. And
Correct.
I understand. Now, uh, what I feel is the conscious
Mhm.
mind is more like a goal setter. He sets the goal
Also,
also. However, what if the subconscious mind is the goal getter?
so okay, so
Example,
let me break that
example,
down. Let me,
example.
if I may.
No, no. Let me just finish. For
हाँ,
example,
हुँ,
1st of Jan, दुनिया
हाँ.
भर लोग make resolutions.
So that's why I
I'm
want to
gonna
break that
lose
frame
weight.
right now. That's why
Hmm.
I'm saying before you tell me the example,
Okay.
because you said goal getter,
Huh.
I will agree and disagree. Why?
Okay. Okay.
Because when you actually talk about the subconscious mind or the unconscious mind,
Huh.
it already knows multiple ways to, as you said, get the goal.
Correct.
So that's where things like law of attraction, there's so many stories. You listen to the stories of, say, of recent times, Matthew McConaughey,
Hmm.
or there's so many stories of, minus the most recent one of Jim Carrey. Like over
Hmm.
the years, he has talked about, or Oprah for that matter, so many of these folks
Hmm.
who have, and these are Western, sort of like the non-woo woo folks who have, been so clear about what they wanted,
Hmm.
even though their environment said no. हमारे गांव में तो ये नहीं होता है, sort of a thing, right? But
Hmm.
they still were able to get to that place, and it's not just the hard work and the grit, or it's not just the hard work, it's the grit, it's the showing up, it's a whole bunch of things, and it's also their self, what they told themselves who they are from the future, right? So that's why I'm
Correct.
saying the concept of the goal getter.
Huh.
Why I'm pausing you to sort of ask you to reflect on it, or reflecting it back to you, is that implies effort. The unconscious mind
Huh.
does not work on effort.
Correct.
Like, can you make an effort and have an epiphany?
No.
No. Can you make an effort and have a shower wala aha moment?
No.
It's the other way around.
Correct.
You work hard, you're conscious, you're focusing on something, karna hai, I don't know how, it's like I'm like rushing against deadlines or whatever.
Hmm.
And in that one moment, whether it's go to the loo or you actually take a shower, there's something about that stillness that just you go, oh, okay, I get it. This is that missing piece, right?
Happens all
And
the
it's
time. Happens all the time. Boss
so
in
it's been
advertising, remember?
exactly right. So
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
been there
Hmm.
since time immemorial, which is why I'm saying this sort of yang way, the yin and the yang. So the
Ah,
yang way of saying goal pana hai, maksad pana hai,
ah.
is more of sort of is dunya ka funda. It's like this world has framed it as you have to work hard to get what you want. They've forgotten to
Ladies
tell
and
you,
gentlemen.
Hmm.
Now we are entering the quantum world.
Precisely. Precisely. Right? And you and I know we're not just saying it, um, we're not just saying it naam ke vaste. It is
Exactly.
truly the quantum world, which means, as I said, your conscious and your unconscious or subconscious,
Uh,
your, as I call it, the unconscious, but let's go with the subconscious. So it's like your
subconscious. Yeah, unconscious.
subconscious,
Uh,
potato, potato, right? So it's like
mm.
your subconscious already knows. And so when you allow yourself to truly relax beyond the fear, beyond the existence of मैं कौन हूँ, am I UD the performer? Am I UD the musician? Am I UD the rock star? The moment you go into that, that's just beyond, which is like our dear Rick Rubin. Yeah.
I feel
Why does Rick Rubin, even today, living in the West, typically not even wear chappals and just hangs around in a loose t-shirt and
shorts.
shorts and a nice, flowing beard, and he's just him because he has when I say submitted, he has allowed himself to be space. Yeah.
Ah, mm, wow.
Mm.
Go on, go on, go on. I love it. Go on. भाई ट्रांस में
Right?
डाल दिया ना भाई.
I
Go on.
know. What I love about this is this work is literally like the non-GMO, non-green leaf, non any, you know, EFTs or no, what is it? CFD, uh, ETC, HTC, THC, कुछ नहीं चाहिए. It's just literally, if you go back to, as they say, it's like we're cutting or like connecting into the pituitary.
uh,
And
uh, uh,
it's like literally, what is it? What is it they call it? The God seed, right? It's
uh,
like
uh,
literally
uh,
connecting to something that, like, ये हम लोग dialogue नहीं बोल रहे हैं. This is a lived experience,
correct,
right?
correct,
Of
correct.
all those times that you have had your own experiences over life and over time,
Mm.
why does what I'm saying make sense to you? Because you have lived that
Yes,
while on the road, while on the stage, while on tour. Doesn't matter.
yes.
You have had those moments of connecting with the divine that
Wow.
it makes sense.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's almost like an oxymoron, right? Connecting with the divine makes sense, right? It's literally the most
Oh.
nonsense sense, right? It's like beyond sense.
I'm a high kinesthetic guy, yeah.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
feel things more.
right. So it's like you're connecting to something that goes beyond the five.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at.
And that's what the UD Roadcast is all about.
That's why you
Stories,
even
journeys, and beyond.
exactly. That's why you even called it the UD Roadcast and not just another podcast or not UD podcast,
Correct. I
right?
could
And
have.
it's interesting, and I'll say it because I'm sitting here with you. That transition is still happening, which
Yes,
is
sir.
why when before we went live, you said UD podcast, and I said,
Isn't it the
is it
Roadcast?
UD Roadcast? And he's like, huh. Thank you, self.
Yes, yes.
Right. So
Uh,
that's a transition.
yeah, it's slowly becoming my identity.
Yes.
It's becoming my
Yes.
identity. And the next episode, you're going to see
Mm,
me too flashing a mug with the UD
nice.
Roadcast logo on.
Nice. Nice.
It's already in the pipeline. You'll see
Yeah.
it in the next episode.
Nice.
Man, this conversation can go on and on, Rahul. Yeah. Just to spend some time with you, I need to ride down to Bangalore. Yeah. Your
Mm,
next live event or retreat, na, मैं भी आऊंगा. I would love.
हाँ.
Yeah,
एक
yeah.
वो तो जून में हो रहा है एक. We're
एक हो रहा है
doing
जून में.
we have now fixed like a slot. We do one middle of the year, so एक तो जून में होता है,
ठीक
and
है.
the next one will be in November.
June and November. ठीक है. Now, for someone listening to this
Mm,
conversation who feels one of my favorite words,
mm,
curious. Okay,
mm,
feels curious about how do I say it? Their own subconscious patterns. If they get
mm,
curious about it, the first step is usually awareness,
mm.
right? The first
I,
step is
I would go one
usually
step further. Their
okay.
first step is actually, some people call it non-awareness. I'll call it unawareness.
अच्छा भाई पहले अनलर्न.
नहीं नहीं, ये unawareness है.
ओके.
So think of it like this. If unawareness was a vessel,
ओके.
by definition, would it have a defined border? Vessel है तो border तो होगा,
करेक्ट.
बरोबर?
हाँ.
Even if you say sky, border तो है उसका,
करेक्ट.
stratosphere or whatever is
हाँ
the,
हाँ हाँ हाँ
so technically border है,
हाँ.
or whatever, Milky Way, depending on
करेक्ट.
how far you want to go, but the
तो हाँ.
border है.
हम्म.
So if you go by unawareness, उसका भी border है,
राइट.
logically.
हाँ.
So the question is, what sits on the edge of unawareness?
ओके.
What sits?
What sits at the edge of
What
unawareness?
sits on the edge of unawareness?
Awareness?
It's like that passing breeze.
Oh, the Truman Show. I don't know why that came to my mind. Yeah, the Truman
Mm,
Show.
mm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you picked it up like that. That's beautiful. I love the way you've like threaded that needle. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love
I don't know,
visuals.
but then I have these sudden moments where I'm like, wait a minute. Uh, what did I see that? And then the pattern starts to
Emerge.
become a visible pattern. It's always there, but it's like now I have the, like the that famous movie Entrapment with Sean Connery
So
and
Sean
Catherine
Connery and Kathy. Oh, of
Zeta-Jones,
course, I
right?
remember that
And
film.
the smoke blows over the red trellis of
True, true, true.
the trap, right? The, what do you call that? The tripwire, essentially. Yeah.
Huh.
So patterns exist,
Hmm.
but they exist only when you start to notice them logically. Makes
Hmm.
sense.
So the existence of the patterns is unawareness.
Is where you're starting to become going from unawareness to awareness.
Awareness.
Normally, we would say, like awareness,
Hmm.
interest, desire, action, IDA model of the 1960s or whatever.
Hmm,
That's the
hmm, hmm, hmm,
conventional
hmm,
way of saying it. But
hmm,
since we are not talking just about just some gyan or, sort of like what we would see in some sort of a psych textbook 101, I'm saying this is where we are saying there is something beyond awareness,
hmm,
right?
hmm.
And if you believe that there's something beyond awareness, that also by definition has a form and a structure,
True.
which
True.
is why it has a border or an edge.
Hmm. Hmm,
So
hmm, 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 hmm,
all another simpler way of saying it is,
hmm,
uh, just keep noticing. In a
hmm.
practical way, I'll say that. Keep noticing. So
Okay.
you feel you're stuck, you feel like, life is not working out, bad things keep happening. I
Hmm,
would say go one step further, which
hmm.
is just keep noticing. Bas.
Even if it feels like सब मेरे साथ होता है,
हाँ, 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 हाँ.
nobody loves me.
Hmm,
ये तो भगवान की मर्जी है.
correct.
हाँ. वही
Everybody's out to
होगा
get
जो
me.
मंजूर है खुदा
हाँ.
होता है. Or everything.
ये मेरा जिंदगी
सब.
का, इट्स
Hmm,
लाइक ये तो होने वाला ही है. I'm
hmm,
cursed or whatever.
hmm. All those. हाँ. Hmm, hmm.
Just keep, so for the moment, and this
Observe.
is again we are saying it to someone who is technically not is no longer in the unawareness zone because they're
Obviously.
hearing it,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
But having said that, maybe right now they're doing a 99-1. That means 1% they're aware, 99 they keep going back into the cave. So for
Uh,
them, this suddenly becomes a wait, say that again. Okay, then suddenly that 1% becomes 5%, becomes 25%, becomes 80%. And in that, going back to our dear old psycho cybernetics,
uh,
right? Malcolm,
cybernetic.
क्या नाम था? Maxwell, right?
Maxwell.
Maxwell Kuntz or Kantz, I think his name was.
Uh,
As he talks about like the X programming and the Y programming.
uh,
Matlab
uh,
ki all the stuff that you want to change, say you
mm,
want to get fit or you want to start a business or whatever it is,
uh,
80-90% is the old behavior, the old belief,
mm,
the old identity.
mm.
And the Y programming is the new, which is, let's say, 1% awareness, 99% ये तो हो नहीं सकता है, हमारे फैमिली में तो होता ही नहीं है, वगैरह
Uh,
वगैरह वगैरह.
correct.
But as you continue to stay in the awareness, eventually you'll notice you're moving more into believing.
So as that 1% keeps increasing, becomes 5, becomes 10, so you start believing.
Isn't
Mm,
that how people have a breakthrough,
exactly.
right?
Exactly. So that 1% side is the wisdom, the other is noise. No? The 99% is
Exactly.
noise.
Exactly. That's the point.
And
That would be, I know it's a, maybe as I like to joke, it's a 20 mark answer.
mm.
But the one, like
So I
2
keep
mark answer,
increasing the wisdom and reducing the noise.
even that you're, the way I'm hearing you say it, it's like मुझे करना कुछ नहीं है.
एफर्ट हो जाता है फिर.
हाँ, वो
करेक्ट.
इसलिए like I said, मेरा mantra and I really believe in it is effortlessness. Effortlessness is that just be aware when I'm aware. So if I want to get fit, maybe I'm being unfit or I have unfit habits or habits that are making me unfit most of the time. But I can be aware of it. And it may seem very um, passive initially. But if you practice that awareness on an ongoing basis, you won't even realize when that 1% का 40% हो भी जाता है. You won't even know when that shift happens.
क्या बात कर रहा है यार.
Huh?
Man, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna
Ah.
try this.
And in the words of our eternal, ever
Hey,
loving
just
Yoda,
just 1 second. Yes, Baba. Shivansh. 1 second. My son is the door's locked. 1 second. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Okay, darling. Thanks for telling me. Bye, buddy. Yeah. I'm so sorry.
I was just being dramatic. So, in the words of our ever loving,
Freeze frame. Don't.
ever loving Yoda,
Hmm.
do or do not. There is no try.
Hmm.
आप आजमाओ, आजमाओ as in test it, not try it,
Hmm.
test it.
Hmm.
करो
Which
तो जानो.
which is your favorite shoe brand?
Shoe brand.
Hmm. In sport shoes,
Mm,
Adidas or
I
Puma.
guess Nike.
You know why I
Nike
like,
is.
you know
Huh.
why I prefer Nike?
Now, if I may, this is like the coin is flipped the other side. I'll be right back. This guy is like constantly ringing the bell. I'll be right
Oh,
back.
someone ringing the bell?
Just give me a.
Sure. Wow. While Rahul comes back, this conversation is getting deeper and deeper, and some pearls of wisdom coming from Rahul. And what I like about this podcast format is uh, I'm not going to edit all this. He excused himself to attend to the door, I guess. And even I'm not going to edit when my son just came to my studio's window and he kept calling, Papa, Papa. So I excused myself, asked, Yes, son, what's up? He was going to the park opposite my studio to play football. And he just wanted to come and tell me that. So the point is, even if you're in the middle of shooting or in the middle of a Zoom meeting at work, if your kid comes and tries to draw your attention, try your best not to get irritated by it. Give, manage, choose the right words, keep your tone of voice cool and your temperament cool, and speak to the child. Don't get irritated. I'm in a meeting right now. I'm shooting a podcast right now. Don't disturb me. Don't you know that I'm shooting right now? It's not his fault. And while speaking to a child, it becomes imperative. Your choice of words, your tone of voice, because at that age, words and tone of voice makes a huge difference, can create patterns in a child's mind. So whether you're on a Zoom call, someone at the door, or you could be, I don't know, it could be into $1 million sales negotiation. And if your son or your child comes and disturbs you in the meeting, watch your tone of voice and your words. It's not the child's fault. Don't traumatize him by, I'm working right now, don't you know? And please, if you're able to communicate better within your own family, believe me, communicating with the outer world becomes child's play. Rahul is back. Yeah. Yes, Rahul. Yeah,
Yes.
I was just
I love that.
having a chat with
I love that. I love that.
thanks, buddy.
You're truly living your purpose.
Yes, sir, I am. I am. You know. So amazing, man. It's we can go today, we can
Mm,
just
yes.
go on and on and on and on. Eh? Now, on this note, what I was we got interrupted when we were
Mm,
talking about, So, uh, when you look back in your own journey so far, Raul,
mm,
from curiosity to mastery, where you've reached,
mm,
and which is amazing, man. So the what I understand from this conversation is the deeper lesson is might not be the technique,
correct.
it's perspective.
Mm,
है कि नहीं? It is
true,
perspective.
true.
Because I really love the way you said unawareness and awareness. Wow, that blew my mind, man. You've really um, given me some sumptuous and nutritious food for thought today. Oh my God, oh my God. We can go on and on
Yes.
and on and on, yeah. So apart from this, so yeah, coming back to that final question when we just got
Mm,
distracted, both of us got distracted was, so just making a behavioral change
mm,
usually doesn't last long. For example,
mm,
if I'm a, if to make the conversation a little more understandable to a layman, for example,
mhm,
um, if let's assume, let's take a simple example, like if
mhm,
one of the listeners or watchers right now wishes to quit smoking. So just
mm,
being aware whenever he or she gets the urge to smoke and just quits smoking for 2 months and gets back
mm.
smoking again.
Yeah, yeah.
Some time ago, we spoke about DILTs and
Mm,
neurological levels.
mm,
Now, would I be right to understand that just quitting cigarette would be the behavioral change?
mm,
Unless I do something about I am a smoker
mm. Yeah,
at an identity level,
true, true.
till that time, that thing will not leave my system completely.
So two answers there, right?
Please.
As I sort of like to, as and like you rightly said, we can. It looks like we're the kind who can talk till the cows come home and then keep talking.
Yep, yep. No, no, no. I think
But but
this is,
but I love what you said. So I just want to frame that, right?
please, please.
So conventionally, people would say,
Hmm,
if the person wants to stop smoking,
hmm,
um, if they don't change their identity,
hmm,
which is they no longer consider, if they say I'm a non-smoker, but again, it still has the word smoke in it. But if they say I'm a non-smoker,
hmm.
it's like somebody saying I'm a teetotaler and they no longer drink, right? In sort of like a similar sort of a thing.
Hmm,
That's one way to look at it. If even if I had to say change at a behavioral level,
hmm.
I would I would be curious to know what behavior do they want to have instead? Yeah, right? And I know it's a longer, there's a
Mm.
lot to unpack there because
No, no, no. Mm.
traditionally, people will say, oh, if you don't want to stop smoking,
Yeah.
then iska kuch nahi ho sakta hai. And they're right to an extent.
Mm.
And if they're not willing to let go of that old identity, which is the party boy or the party girl or whatever,
Mm.
the, the quit smoking, the chances of quit smoking are slim to none. On the surface, they're right. But I'm having now been, swimming in this ocean. Uh, as I said, hypnosis is my brahmastra and words, as in, that's why the conversational hypnosis is, I'm like, such a big fan of it. In
Mm.
that, I'm curious to know where that conversation will lead, where they are able to literally hypnotize themselves into a different behavior. So, for example, if someone chose, and I, in fact, was just watching I was looking at a post today,
Mm.
and so therefore, if someone was able to discover an alternate behavior
Mm.
that is so polar opposite to
Mm.
smoking,
Mm.
then being a smoker will be the hardest thing for them to do. Like if
Mm.
someone decided to become an ultra athlete, as an example, and there are lots of stories of that, right? People who were
Absolutely.
in the,
Absolutely.
like this, the one I saw on Facebook today was this guy who was, I think 10 years ago or till 10 years ago, he was like a black tar heroin, so very specific black tar heroin addict
Wow.
until 10 years ago. And then he discovered like the Iron Man and the Ultraman or whatever. And now for the last 10 years, he has been a ultra athlete, which means the obsession hasn't changed, but the behavior is like a different universe. So that's why intuitively, when I heard you
So the
say it, I was
bad
like,
nasha got replaced with a good one.
good one, right?
Mm.
So that would be my short answer for the moment that
Cool.
there is, and that's what I'm saying, it's so fascinating. And when I meet someone who is a fellow traveler, who not only respects but is like fascinated by language and what it can, like the powers that it has,
Mm.
the magic that it has. As I said, we can, these are like
Go
longer
on and
and many more
on.
conversations in
Like,
time to come.
definitely, definitely. And ladies and gentlemen, as you would be aware that Rahul has been extremely kind to find, at least an hour, and I've been greedy and I've extracted more than an hour from this man.
Yes.
And of course,
A
as
pleasure.
he has his regular community meets, and this evening, after some time, maybe after 15 minutes, he's got another community meet coming. Yeah. So on that note, Rahul, thank you so very much. Listening to you today reminds me of something simple, actually.
Mm,
हम लोग सब ना, we spend so much time of our lives learning how to navigate the outer world.
mm,
Careers,
mm,
goals, success, money,
mm,
wealth, and but very few people spend time learning how to navigate the inner world. The beliefs we carry, the patterns we repeat, the meaning we assign to our lives. Perhaps that is where real transformation begins, not
mm,
outside, but within. And for the viewers who would love to become a part of the eye hypnosis community, please follow and check out his profile and follow. And all the instructions would be given there on all the social media platforms of Rahul George Eye Hypnosis. And you're most welcome to come and join the community and learn the magic of healing your inner world before you become better at the outer one.
mm.
Thank you so very much, Rahul. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very
Thank
much,
you.
man. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so
It's
very
been
much
an
for your time.
absolute blast.
I'll keep
Thank
in
you very
touch
much.
and see you soon.
Awesome. Thank
I'll see
you.
you soon.
Been,
And yeah, Monday I am leaving with my son. I'm riding from
mm,
here to Dharamshala.
nice.
Gonna chill in Dharamshala. I love Dharamshala. Yeah.
Mm,
I just go to Dalai Lama's temple and I just sit there and meditate.
nice.
I just love to do that. So fourth, fifth is when my son's school reopens. By fourth, we'll ride back.
Mm.
After that, the entire year, I won't get time. In other
Mm.
words, where am I? Why am I writing there? Well, content hunting, baby, for the UD Roadcast. We look for
Nice,
content on the road, baby.
nice.
Yeah. All righty. Thank you very much, Rahul. Take good
Thank
care of
you. Thank
yourself,
you.
and we shall stay connected. God bless
Nice.
you, man. God
God
bless you,
bless.
and long live rock and roll, baby. Ciao.
Long live rock and roll. So once you pause, I just want to quickly have a quick chat with you as well.
Sure, sure.
Just a couple of
Whoa, so that was conversation with Rahul George on the UD Roadcast. So, if you wish to understand and learn more about Rahul George and his work, do visit his social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. The page would be called I Hypnosis Life, mind you. Rahul George is the name, and follow him, subscribe to his channel, and check out the golden nuggets he keeps sharing on social media. Some of them will blow your mind, and some of them could change your life. This is UD, and this is you are listening to me on the UD Roadcast. Until the next episode, take care of yourself, stay hydrated, and eat healthy, sleep well, and long live rock and roll, baby. And remember, don't do anything that I wouldn't. I love you all. Mwah.